On this episode of China Uncensored.
Anybody who's foolish enough to threaten our family, vengeance will be mine!
Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. You know, nothing screams world peace like we will never back down. Especially when you're China's foreign minister at the World Peace Forum in Beijing. Yes, China's World Peace Forum, an event as well crafted as its beautiful website that just doesn't load. At least the Great Wall of China is a symbol of peace? Of course, when your World Peace Forum is attended almost exclusively by Chinese people, and not, for example, any representative of other nations, you can say pretty much whatever you want. Because clearly, the path to world peace is for everyone else in the world to just let the Chinese Communist Party own the South China Sea and control the $5 trillion a year in shipping that goes through it. Because as Wang Yi put it,
China's demands of sovereignty over the Nanshan Islands have not expanded, and neither will they shrink. Otherwise, we would not be able to face our forefathers and ancestors.
It's nice that Chinese officials are respecting their ancestors now, you know, after accidentally forgetting to do that during the Cultural Revolution. Anyway, surely the Chinese Communist Party has a legitimate historical claim to the Spratly Islands, or as they call it, the Nansha Islands, the group of about 750 reefs and islands in the South China Sea claimed by Brunei, Malaysia, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Taiwan, but only correctly claimed by China and China's ancestors. As Wang Yi points out, 1,000 years ago, China was a large seafaring nation. So of course, China was the first country to discover, use, and administer the Nansha Islands. Oh, well, that clears it up. And as you can see on these old maps, China clearly lays claim to... Wait a second, why do all these old maps show the opposite? Like this British one from 1770, or this one from a Jesuit in 1734 that uses the Filipino name for the islands. Or this one literally engraved in stone in the year 1136 that has China's more than 400 administrative regions clearly marked, the southernmost of which is Hainan Island and not the Nansha Islands. Come on, who created this fake map? Oh, what's that, Shelley? Oh, China did. Well, anyway, there's always the we were here first philosophy, though I don't see how that's really in China's interest to push that one. Actually, I think it's more like when you were little and you went to the playground. Most kids know you're supposed to get along and share. And China is the big kid who comes in and starts throwing sand around, and then claims it owns the place. Because that's exactly what China has been doing. The Chinese regime has been literally dredging up sand and piling it up on submerged reefs and saying, hey, these are our islands, so yeah, we own the place. You know, like the way adults solve their problems. Yet, for some reason, this has angered, well, pretty much everyone, to the extent that even communist Vietnam thinks having the US around in the area isn't such a bad idea. The Chinese Communist Party is bungling this situation so badly that a US-Vietnamese alliance doesn't seem that far-fetched anymore. But of course, when Vietnam's deputy PM met with Chinese Premier Li Keqiang on June 18th, Li supposedly reminded him that, quote, the two sides should keep in mind the general direction of the bilateral relationship as well as the big picture of friendship and cooperation. Totally not a thinly veiled threat. I mean, look how comfortable and relaxed the Vietnamese deputy PM is. The fact of the matter is, what the Chinese Communist Party is doing in the South China Sea is just making it look like a big meanie, and big meanies don't make good friends. What would China's ancestors think? So what do you think about China threatening to never back down from its South China Sea claims? Leave your comments below and be sure to subscribe to receive updates about new episodes of China Uncensored. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time. Drugs. And I'm not talking about prescription or over-the-counter medication. I'm talking about the kind of drugs that make you do this.
Police say 41-year-old Kenneth Crowder ran around naked through this Melbourne neighborhood saying that he was God and performing lewd acts on a tree.
Ouch, I hope it wasn't that tree. Not as good though as the Polystation. Looks like a first-generation PlayStation in a Nintendo 64 box, and even though that bit on top looks like it should take a disc, it actually uses something like a Super Nintendo cartridge.